Stick on the model, understand the concept. So models can change, but concepts remain the same. Facts remains the same. Make sense? Yeah. So that's what you need to stick on. Okay. Let's look at it this way. So we've just said that if we were to trace a molecule of oxygen from outside all the way into our lungs, you should be able to trace the structures that are involved. So oxygen comes from outside, it enters our body through
Nasal cavity.
nasal cavity or
The
oral
mouth.
cavity.
Oral cavity.
What separates nasal and oral cavity?
The hard palate.
Okay, the soft palate, okay, and the hard palate here. So that's what separates the oral cavity from
Nasal cavity.
nasal cavity. So either way, when oxygen comes, it comes through the, enters
The pharynx.
the pharynx. Pharynx is identified in three parts depending on what point it's attached to. The part of pharynx that's connected to the oral cavity, we call it
The nasopharynx.
okay. The one connected to the nasal cavity, that's the
Nasopharynx.
nasopharynx. The one connected to the oral cavity,
Oropharynx.
oropharynx. And then you come down here, the one connected to the larynx,
Laropharynx.
laryngopharynx. Okay. Now, when we are done with all the four, so that's the nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx, because it's connected to the larynx. Now you come here, it connects to, it comes through the larynx. Larynx is like a connector. It's connecting this trachea, which is a hard open tube, to the pharynx. So you know, like pipe work at home, you're connecting a big pipe to a smaller pipe, you need a coupler to connect those two. And so larynx acts like a good connector. It's also what we regard as a voice box. Make sense? Now, from larynx, larynx can come in different shapes. Look, that's the larynx. This is larynx. This is larynx. Make sense? Now, from larynx, we come down to
The trachea.
trachea. And trachea remains as the way trachea is different from the other ones is trachea is a continuously open trachea. It's like a tube. It doesn't collapse like the esophagus. It remains open. Why does it remain open?
For clear
What makes it
passage. The air constantly moving through it.
It can collapse after the air has passed.
The cartilage, because ridges.
Exactly, okay? So it has a cartilage. The hairline cartilage keeps it open. Remember, that's a connective tissue. It is a strong cartilage that keeps it open, okay? So air will pass in and out passively, but that tube remains open. So you can see these are the cartilages. We call it, it's like the letter C, you know, the letter C for cat. So it's what's called the C cartilage, C-ring cartilages, okay? Now, these cartilages keeps the trachea open. Now the trachea comes reaching here, splits into two. It becomes what?
The bronchus.
Bronchus, okay? What bronchus is that?
The primary bronchus.
Primary bronchus. So primary bronchus are only two, because left and right. Okay? Now when we come after the end of the primary bronchus split into two. Into several actually. It becomes
Secondary bronchus.
secondary bronchus. Secondary bronchus again go down, it splits again, it becomes tertiary bronchus, okay? So the secondary bronchus split to become tertiary bronchus, and then tertiary bronchus split to become what? Hello? Becomes the bronchioles. Okay?
Alright.
So at the end of it, you come down here, that's what you call the terminal bronchiole. Terminal bronchiole reaches now this grape-like structure here. And okay, you see bulb, one bulb, another bulb. This is the actual site where the gaseous exchange takes place in the lungs. So if you were to open this like this, you would see. Okay, come out. Hey, you would see this is your trachea. It splits. It becomes the primary bronchus, secondary bronchus, tertiary bronchus, then bronchioles, and then at the end of the bronchioles, we come down to this part here, which looks like the grapes-like structure. We call it what?
The alveoli.
Those are the alveolar sacs.
Sacs.
The alveolar sacs, like a bunch of them is alveolar sac. One is
An alveoli.
alveoli. That is the actual basic area where the gaseous exchange takes place. And that's where you have a lot of blood vessels coming in here. The capillaries come in here. Capillaries bring in what cells to pick up oxygen?
No.
What cells pick up oxygen?
Red blood
Red
cells.
blood cells. And that's why you have a lot of blood vessels here. Because that's what's picking up, the red blood cells are picking up oxygen. It's also eliminating what? Carbon dioxide. So you breathe out the carbon dioxide, you breathe in oxygen. So when somebody asks you today, at what site does the gaseous exchange take place? You know it's the alveolar sac because that's what contains the alveoli. Make sense? Each individual bulb here is an alveoli. The grape-like structure here is the alveolar sac. We call the alveolar, sometimes here the alveolar bulb. Okay? So individually, that's the alveoli inside. This is a bulb. The entire thing is the alveolar sac. Make sense? Now, so let's go back a little bit from the pharynx, let's go back a little bit to the larynx. Now, the larynx is a special structure because of two things. While it's connecting the pharynx to the trachea, it's something else it does for us. We call it the voice box. Why do we call it the voice box?
It's got the vocal cords in it.
It has the vocal cords in it. Okay? You enunciate the words, you hit that pitch. These musicians sing because they have an endowed larynx with them. The vocal cords enable them to hit that pitch that you recognize that, hey, that's good music. Okay? And so that is what you see on the vocal cords in the larynx. But then the larynx has a very interesting structure. There is a big cartilage here that connects the pharynx to the trachea. This is what you call what?
Thyroid cartilage.
What structure is this?
The thyroid.
Thyroid, okay? So this one we call it the thyroid cartilage. Okay? So this is thyroid gland, thyroid cartilage. It's the big one. But at the front, but at the back, at the down here, thyroid cartilage connects to another cartilage.
C. Trachea. Just kidding.
Start with letter C.
C. Cartilage.
C-ring cartilage.
C-ring is on the trachea now. This is
Larynx.
that's a cricoid cartilage. Okay?
Cricoid cartilage.
That's a cricoid cartilage. So thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, and then to the trachea. And each individually here, you see at the front part, it's not connected. It doesn't go round. That's why we said like the letter C. These are the letter C cartilages that keeps the trachea open. So if somebody was to ask you tomorrow, how comes the trachea is continuously open? It's because it's kept open by
The C-ring cartilage.
C-ring cartilages. Make sense? Yeah. So that's when the trachea goes down all the way. Now, larynx also has one important function. Because this trachea continuously open, and because it's connected to the pharynx, what's going on in the oral cavity? We drink, we eat, and that's where the food is going through, and then to the pharynx, then to the esophagus. Make sense?
Mhm.
Now, the food does not know whether I'm supposed to go to the esophagus or to trachea. Whatever is open, the food can
Go into.
go in. And many a time, some of us eat and talk at the same time. When you eat and talk, you're opening the trachea. So the food doesn't care whether this is trachea or this pharynx or this esophagus. It wants to go wherever it's open. And that's why sometimes you are drinking and talking. What do you do? What happens?
You choke.
You choke. You cough so hard. Because food is trying to attempt to go to the trachea. But what stops you from choking?
The epiglottis.
Epiglottis. And that is this lead-like structure. Okay? During the swallowing reflex, when you are swallowing, what happens is this epiglottis closes the glottis, which is the entry to the trachea. We call this the epiglottis, and this hole here, the space here, is the glottis. So epiglottis, which is a lead-like structure, when you are swallowing, it closes here like this. And that redirects the food and drinks to the right place, to go to esophagus, not to the trachea. What do we need to go to the trachea?
Air.
Yeah, not food, not drinks. Just like some of us, like we said, we like eating, chewing, and talking at the same time. When you are talking, there's an attempt for the epiglottis to open because you need air. When you open and there's a lot of fluids here, food wants to go wherever it's open. That's what happens. Make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. What bone is this?
Hyoid.
That's the hyoid bone. Beautiful. Okay. So what you need to go back to do is to go back and look at these structures again. One more thing. So we said you need to distinguish also the lung lobes. So we said left lung lobes have how many lobes?
2.
Left is 2, right is
3.
3, okay? So this is the right, 3, left 2. And this part here, why is this part more open like this?
That's where the heart is.
Heart.
Okay, it gives room to the heart. Remember the left side of the heart, left ventricle is big, it's muscular. Remember what we talked about last week? It's big, it's muscular because the left ventricle is what pumps the blood to the entire body of the body. So it's more strong and more powerful. And because of that, it has to be accommodated somewhere. Okay? So that portion becomes what you call the cardiac notch. Cardiac
Notch.
notch. Okay, that's to give room to the left ventricle. Make sense? Good. So go back again, go through all those details that we've talked about. Make sure you get it.